Taryn, I'm delighted to see you this morning. This is my youngest daughter. I quite love her, and we've been extremely isolated from one another for this past year. And in this lifespan of this thing called She Recovers over the last 10 years, we actually became joined at the hip for a lot of days and weeks and months of every year, which was fun. I mean, we had to learn how to be together so much, and there was some interesting moments, right, Tara? And then, finally, over the last several years, I think in large part because of recovery work that whereas Taryn was doing and recovery work that I continue to do, and some recovery work that we did together as a mother and daughter, we kind of finally really nailed how to be together and how to work together and how to support each other's dreams. And we were just really fine tuning that and loving spending so much time together when the pandemic hit. So most of the time, almost all of the time that Taryn and I have spent together last year has been on screen. So really looking forward to the next year when I get to hang out with her in person a bit more. So what we're going to do today is we're here to start celebrating the year that has been the year of 2020 into 2021, the year of this community's growth, exponential growth. And so how we thought we would do that is, for some of you who are newer to our community, we're going to go through a little bit about who we are and what we're about. And for those of you who have been around for a really long time, because there's some of you who have been members of this community for 10 years, just a little refresher on kind of what our purpose is. And also, if you've been with us for 10 years, you weren't with us, we didn't used to be a nonprofit organization, and now we are. So there's some changes to our mission and our purpose and the way we talk about ourselves. So Taryn, I'm just going to share my screen.
This is our year in review of recovering online. And first things first, from the bottom of my heart and Mom's heart, I just really want to thank everybody at every single level for all of your contributions. No contribution is too small. I want to thank all of you who are members of our social media platforms, whether you follow us on Instagram or social media. Maybe you're in our private Facebook group, She Recovers Together. Maybe you have donated. I want to thank our volunteers and our incredible staff. And we have a lot of things and people to be grateful and thankful for. Because this is a nonprofit, we really do rely on our volunteers, we rely on word of mouth, and we rely on donations. So thank you so much to every single one of you for sharing your energy with us in all of the different ways that you do. So our mission we've always been mission focused. So now that we're an official 501c3 public charity, it just makes our mission even more exciting. It feels really, it is possible and it is doable. It's happening. And our mission is to inspire hope, reduce stigma, and empower women in or seeking recovery for substance use and or mental health challenges to increase their recovery capital, heal themselves, and help other women to do the same. Our goals and our objectives, we have lots of things that we want to do, and some of them are to increase access to recovery support, both online and in person, to be able to provide resources to help women build their recovery capital, to reduce stigma through public awareness programs and education, to foster research proving the efficacy of non-traditional recovery practices, and to serve the trusted source of information for all women in or seeking recovery. Now, we have had our intentions and guiding principles for many, many, many years now, and we actually just edited a few this past year. So some of you may be familiar with some of them and some of you may not. Some of you maybe don't know the new ones. And really, our intentions and our guiding principles, these are like our core philosophies as an organization. These are our recovery philosophies and principles that we live by and that really inform us of all of the decisions that we make. Every event that we do online or in person, every social post that amazing Lisa creates, she's behind the scenes right now, is informed by these. So the first one, of course, which was kind of our original tagline of She Recovers, is we're all recovering from something. Next, we don't have to hit rock bottom to pursue recovery in any area of our lives. Here at She Recovers, we really believe in early intervention. We also know the importance of we must be supported to find and follow individualized pathways and patchworks of recovery. Also, recovery is a journey to wholeness. We learn to take care of our body, our mind, our emotions, and our spirit. This is one of our new ones. We answer the call to heal our past wounds and intergenerational traumas so we can live fully in the present. We also focus on our strengths around here, not our defects. This is how we change. We understand that the practice of radical self-love is paramount to our well-being. We do our individual work in order to create and hold healing spaces for everyone, because all women deserve recovery. Again, this is another new one that we're going to talk about in a bit. The last two are, when we're ready, we recover out loud so that women who are struggling can find and join our movement. And connection is our sole purpose because we are stronger together.
I love them. I mean, I'm sorry, but I love our intentions and guiding principles. And they've really become, I mean, they've always been a co-creation, right? It's not like we sat down and said, oh, how are we going to drive this thing? What's our philosophy going to be? It's really been the women that have spent time with us on retreat or in workshops at conferences online, who've shared with us what's meaningful for them as they seek to live, move into recovery and into fuller versions of themselves. So those intentions and guiding principles really are a beautiful co-creation, and I love them. I think that they just nail it. So yeah, 2020. I just want to say I've been really touched this last few days with the anniversary kind of when the world seemingly fell apart. Been really touched to think about the great losses experienced by people across the world who, they're continuing to experience great loss. But I sent a text to one of our members, Elizabeth in Montana, who we love so dearly, on the day that, I think it was Friday or whatever day everyone started, the 11th, when people were saying that was when the WHO declared COVID a pandemic. And I just sent her a message and I said that I was thinking of her because in our community, I know Elizabeth doesn't mind me sharing this. I'm not sharing her whole life or her last name, but her mom was the first person related to someone in our community who passed away from COVID. And it was early days, and I just remember it being such an impact. So really just want to acknowledge to anyone listening, everybody out there who's experienced such a deep loss, whether it be a death or illness, a job, your home, all the other things that people have lost. We've been there for a lot of you, and we're here for those of you who haven't yet met us. So just wanted to really acknowledge that deep loss that people have experienced this last year. But what about us, Taryn? Like, what were we doing this time last year?
This time last year, we were starting to get really, really excited and ready for our Miami event that was going to be happening in May of 2020, which is our almost annual conference style event that we do every year. The first one was in New York in 2017. We went to LA in 2018. And in 2020, we were going to go to Miami. This is an event where we have 500 women who attend us, and it's a weekend full of different workshops and different classes and different speakers, and it's really fun. It's really where we get to celebrate our recovery, and we really see it as our opportunity to show the world what recovery looks like, right? So we were really, it was like getting time where we were putting the final touches on the event. And I remember when, because I feel like COVID was kind of a thing in the States before it came up to us in Canada, right? So I remember our friends down in America and one of our event producers in New York, we're just kind of starting to have the conversations of, I think we're going to have to postpone this. And Mom, you and I were like, oh my, to each other, we were like, oh gosh, they're just being so dramatic. They're really blowing this out of proportion. We're going to Miami, like this is happening. So that's where we were a year ago, Mom. I would say we were in denial. We were in absolute denial of the seriousness of what was about to happen. And we really thought that the 2020 was going to be our Miami event. We thought we were going to have all of our retreats go as planned. And we had no idea that the application for the 501c3, like that our nonprofit, we were going to be able to have our charitable status, that happened in April. We had no idea that that was happening. It was one of those things that we had applied for ages ago. So we didn't even know that that was going to be coming into existence. I just want to answer a quick question I see in the chat here from Rebecca. She's asked how long we've been in existence. So She Recovers actually this year is it June, will be our 10-year anniversary. It'll be 10 years ago that the Facebook page started. So a decade, almost a decade. But yeah,
Wow.
so last year at this time, we were in a little bit of denial. And then of course there was the reality, and we of course surrendered to the reality of what was happening. And when the lockdowns started happening, I know for me, we, of course, all of us were just understanding the seriousness of lockdowns for those who are in recovery, those who are brand new in recovery, those who are trying to find recovery, those who are experiencing mental health or behavioral health challenges. What we know is that connection is key, right? We say that you don't have to recover alone, and you don't have to recover alone, because we can't recover alone. We need community when we're in recovery, regardless of what we're recovering from. So we realized, oh my gosh, this is very serious if people who are seeking recovery from whatever it is are actually being isolated from one another. So thank goodness for technology, and thank goodness for Zoom. I had been doing once a month Zoom gatherings in my online yoga membership, our She Recovers Trauma Informed yoga membership. We would meet once a month on either a new moon or a full moon, and we loved those gatherings. It was just such a great way to just kind of get together. And so I thought, well, why don't we do this, not in the yoga membership, but let's just start doing some Zoom calls just with our personal Zoom accounts, so that we can get the women in our community together, just so we can, be together from our living rooms or from our homes, so that we aren't isolated, right? Like we're in our own environments, but we need to stay connected. So that is how the first Zoom call started. And the intention was, we'll just need to do this maybe for a few weeks until the pandemic is over. And then of course, that denial lifted eventually, and we realized that this was something that we needed to offer even when the pandemic is over, right?
Yeah.
So eventually that evolved into our amazing She Recovers recovery coaches, certified coaches, volunteering their time so that we could have 2 Zoom gatherings per day. We also have yoga on Wednesdays at 9 a.m., which are led by either our certified trauma-informed yoga teachers. They volunteer their time, or myself. And then, of course, Peyton volunteers her time for She Recovers Dance on Sundays. And really just have to give an extra special thanks to Lisa and Leanna, because they're the ones who behind the scenes organize and make these happen. So that's kind of a little bit about how the Zoom gatherings began.
Yeah, I'm happy to hop in and just kind of expand on that a little bit. I think when I look back at this time last year, and you had the idea that, well, why don't I just do some online Zoom gatherings? And what strikes me now is how quickly everything came together. It was kind of like, okay, so Taryn's going to host. And so you hosted the first one, I believe, was on March 17th. So we're celebrating this Wednesday that was the very first one. And within just a couple of days, our amazing coaches, so they're certified professional recovery coaches, were raising their hands and volunteering to come and, host some of them. And again, Taryn and I were kind of like, well, this is kind of a temporary thing we're doing here, but sure, might as well say yes. And then Leanna jumped in and started scheduling. The coaches started hosting. We had our first and last Zoom bomb, like just a couple of days in, where a couple of young fellows were in there being total little jerks. And so then Jen O was on with us, one of our wonderful, and just the way she took hold when these guys were saying things that should not be said anywhere, let alone in a women's recovery gathering. She started talking over. We were talking over. We hadn't figured out yet how to shut them off and get rid of them. I remember thinking, why would we need security? It's a women's recovery meeting. Nobody's going to come and bother us. So after that, like 3 days in, we got really serious about protecting the space. Jen kind of almost immediately stepped up to be a guardian of the space. She was attending meetings with us and watching to see, we did all the background research into how do you keep Zoom bombers out, what's the best protocols for protecting the space. And it kind of became this really professional outfit in just like the first week. More coaches were raising their hands. Within a couple of weeks, there were other people who were offering to spell off Jen, who was being the guardian for every single gathering. And we started really focusing more on our introduction and inviting people into the space and kind of creating the groundwork and the guidelines for how we were going to be there. And it was absolutely amazing. And it still kind of blows me away what happened.
And it's evolved to now our meetings are so big. We have Jen, our amazing Jen, is our volunteer co-host coordinator. So every meeting, twice a day, we have someone volunteer as a co-host to help hold the space with the coach. And then we also now have a guardian. So at every single gathering, you have a coach in the evenings. Yeah, you have a coach and you have the co-host and you have a guardian helping hold space and to protect the space, which is just a beautiful, amazing evolution. Oh, look at this light coming in. Let me move.
It's beautiful. And the same thing, the growth also really started to happen in our She Recovers Together Facebook group. So we went from 2,000 in that group, just over 2,000, to now we're at like 7,800. And that necessitated, of course, the need to really develop a strong team of administrators like Facebook admin. And I can't tell you how many we have, but I make bracelets I've started making bracelets for our volunteers, and I've made a lot of bracelets for co-hosts and guardians. And also now for Facebook admins, and led, by, again, we have a team lead there, Rochelle. And for some of you who are in a Facebook group, in our Facebook group, you may not realize the amount of effort it takes to make sure that that space is warm and inviting, and that issues that arise, as they do when you have 7,800 people in a group, that those are dealt with in a way that's fair and equitable, and also really just to ensure that the space remains one where people are comfortable sharing, not overly triggered. I always say, we've got 7,800 women in recovery. Trigger's going to trig. We're going to trigger each other all over the place, not purposefully necessarily, but we still need to deal with all of those things. So our volunteer network, in addition, there are, let me just see. So we've got volunteers. We've got 9 trauma-informed Facebook admins. Oh, so there's 9, 10 social media ambassadors to help us spread our mission. We've got a video editor. We've got content curators to help us find resources and articles relevant to our community. We've got guest bloggers. There's just this whole team. There's more than 70 volunteers in our organization already. And as we increase our capacity to have, more paid positions to manage more volunteers, we'll be able to really increase our volunteer network as well. As a nonprofit, of course, we are so dependent upon our volunteers, but as an organization that needs to be responsible, then we also have to start paying people to kind of manage all of these other, these big kind of blocks of work. So yeah, online, and then we've got the podcast. Taryn started the podcast with our wonderful Erin years ago, and so she's still keeping the podcast going. We've got our online Zoom gatherings, yoga with Taryn Strong or her trauma-informed yoga teachers. She Recovers Dance with Peyton. We've got our own book club now, She Recovers Reads, which is just wonderful, and that's facilitated by a volunteer, Ingrid from Seattle, Burien actually. We do these Mental Health Mondays, and we've had just an enormous amount of wonderful response by people interested in coming and sharing their expertise with us. So we've talked about trauma and the 12 steps, financial recovery, internal family systems, codependency. I mean, there's literally 40. I think we've had 40 or more Mental Health Mondays. So that's how many topics there are. We held our very first critical conversation in October. And so several of our wonderful coaches of color, Esther Nicholson and Sherry Hampton, led that project. It was a webinar. It was called Healing the Effects of Racism for Black Women in Recovery. It's available on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't watched it, you must. It's simply simply beautiful and so impactful. And speaking of Sherry, our foundation has supported Sherry to develop an anti-racism training. So she's available actually, and not as part of our foundation, but what our foundation wanted to do was be part of the conversation around racism and recovery. And so we've supported Sherry to develop this training, and we just want it to be out there in the world. She operates the training as a consultant in her own right, in her own business. You know, it isn't anything that she recovers benefits from financially, but we feel the benefit for us is just being able to contribute to this very important conversation. So Sherry delivered that training to our coaches, volunteers, and yoga teachers just last month. Very well received. We're going to do it again several times a year so that all of our volunteers and our coaches and our yoga teachers are trained in anti-racism. And she is available. Anybody wants more information, let me know. She's available to give that training to other recovery organizations. She's going to be doing it quite a bit this next year in treatment centers and other nonprofit organizations. I think she's already booked for about 10 sessions, and she's just launched it a few months ago. I'm very proud of her. We currently have 5 specialty population groups. So these are Facebook groups. She Recovers Support for Black, Indigenous, and Women of Color. And Sherry and 3 other of our coaches lead that group, and they have a Zoom meeting every Saturday afternoon. She Recovers Support for Women, Veterans, and First Responders is a Facebook group led by Jen O. Peyton leads the She Recovers Support for Mothers of High Needs Children Facebook group. We have a She Recovers Support for Legal Professionals that's led by Dawn Kewen and Lisa Smith, 2 amazing women in our community, both attorneys. And She Recovers Support for Healthcare and Allied Professionals. And that group also meets every Saturday. And there's about 10 coaches, all of whom are healthcare and allied professionals who take turns hosting that. So as time goes on, of course, everybody has been reaching out and saying, what about? So some of the groups that we have planned for when we have the resources in order to establish the strong foundation that we need to operate more groups. Right now, we're at full capacity. And but what we're hoping to do is find the funding that we need to really increase the infrastructure underneath the continued development and growth of our offerings. And then we'd like to start offering support for disordered eating and eating disorders, mood and anxiety disorders, support for women in midlife and beyond, for young women, for love and sex addiction, for LGBTQIA+, for chronic pain, codependency, divorce, infertility, pregnancy, infant loss, support specifically for executives and entrepreneurs, support for financial recovery. And literally the list never stops. Every single week I'm adding to it. And we're very excited, but obviously in order to implement all of these, we need a lot of infrastructure in our website. You know, we need something that is a little bit fancier than just Zoom in order to connect. Even if we use Zoom, we need an interface where you can just go to a page and click what meeting is happening at what time, and then hop on. So this is our growth strategy. We're extremely excited about it, but we're going to be depending on people in our community to help us get to where we need to go. And now that we're actually talking about vaccines on both sides of the border and across the world, we're very excited to start thinking about what we're going to be doing in person throughout the rest of this year and into 2022, starting with our new regional She Recovers Foundation regions, which Peyton and Leanna have been working on behind the scenes. And so in the next few weeks, we're going to be launching 5 pilot regions. One will be in the Northeast. So, I mean, those are some of the cities that are in the Northeast region. I can't tell you the exact states, but it's like the New England states. Sorry, I'm Canadian. I'm not very good with geography yet. I'm going to get better. And as well as the Northwest region, which will be, I do know this one, it's because it's directly south of us. It's Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. And then also the British Columbia region where Taryn and I live. So it's a province in Canada, and it will be one region. And Ontario, another province where Peyton lives, will be another region of its own. And because we want to start looking at offshore overseas regions as pilots and figure out how that's all going to work, our first international outside of the US and Canada will be the Australia region. Then going into June and July, we're going to launch the Mid-Atlantic. That's Florida and New York City, Pennsylvania, all of those kind of mid-Atlantic-y places, West, Midwest, Southwest, Southeast, and the United Kingdom and Europe. And then we'll kind of move into Hawaii, Alaska, Canadian territories, Canadian prairies, and the Canadian Maritime provinces. We are getting back to retreats. So our first retreat that's scheduled now is in July here on Salt Spring Island, where Taryn lives. We don't know yet what's going to happen with that. We're watching very closely to see what happens and whether or not we're going to be able to go ahead with it and kind of going like this, crossing all our fingers and all our toes. But in the end, we'll do what's right. We'll do what's dictated by public health measures and also just what's practical. Then we'll head over to Sedona is in September. Taryn?
Yes,
yeah, so Taryn and Peyton are leading 2 retreats in Sedona. Unfortunately, Salt Spring Island and Sedona and Mexico retreats at the end of the year are all sold out for this year, in large part because we had to move them from last year. So we just moved sold out retreats over. And then we have 2 retreats coming up in October in Maine for healthcare professionals. And we just launched those a few days ago. They're more than half sold out already, but there are some spots available in that one. The exciting news is we are working, Peyton's working very diligently right now on creating the schedule for retreats for 2022, and we'll be launching them within the next month or so as well. We will be going to Miami in April 2022. We feel very confident that things are going to be okay by then. We've been reconfirming our speakers. We're just waiting to hear back from Abby Wambach to make sure that she's going to be there. I'm sure she is. She'd agreed to move to 2021 when we had to move it from last year. We've actually decided to take over the entire Biltmore Hotel in Miami. So it's going to be all She Recovers for days on end, starting with a New Ways to Wellness Symposium for Healing Professionals the day before the weekend event gets started. And just briefly, again, our what we've been doing for years now, since 2017, we've been offering a She Recovers Coach Designation program. We've just seen exponential growth in that program as well. And I think a lot of people, when they come onto our Zoom gatherings and they see that there are these amazing women hosting the gatherings, they learn about what being a She Recovers coach is, which, I mean, it's not all volunteer work. These women are professionals who have their own practices and businesses and are thriving. But it's kind of a really good way to get the word out, in the same way that the She Recovers yoga. People are starting to meet other yoga teachers as they present their beautiful gifts on Wednesdays alongside or instead of Taryn for the yoga sessions on Wednesdays. So we're just really kind of growing that. And that's our contribution to expanding the workforce and expanding recovery resources for women in recovery. So we're very excited about that. Okay, final thing, just about wrap up here, and then I hope people have comments and questions. So how are we going to raise the money we need in order to expand and do all the things that we need to do? Well, one of the major cornerstones of our approach as a nonprofit is to develop partnerships. So meaningful, sustainable, and mutually beneficial partnerships with others in the wellness and treatment industry who share our values, intentions, and guiding principles. So behind the scenes, we have our amazing development team, including our executive director, Susan Carter, as well as Carrie and Melinda, having discussions with big organizations about how our missions align and how we can mutually support each other. There isn't a wellness or treatment program out there that doesn't depend on their clients being able to land in a community that can support them when they leave treatment or learn about treatment going into it. So we're having some really interesting discussions. Hazel and Betty Ford has always been one of our absolute champions, and we continue discussions with them about how we can expand working together with them. So those are some ways that we're going to bring in what we need in order to get things moving. We have a pretty exciting, this is a sneak peek, and I didn't even ask permission to share this, so sorry, development team, don't get mad. But we also wanted to give small, and really businesses that are owned by women, primarily women in recovery, other small family outfits that believe in recovery, an opportunity to support us. So we're going to be launching our She Recovers Friends of the Foundation program soon. And, that might look like, one of our first friends is actually Ingrid, who leads our She Recovers Reads book club. And she has a small indie bookstore in Burien, Washington. And since we've been doing the book club, she's been donating 10% of the profit of any woman in She Recovers who orders a book online from her or in the store using the She Recovers code. So it's just a revenue stream of, she gets to donate portions of her sales to a community that she believes in. And we think that there are other women out there who are going to want to do something similar. So more details to come around that. And then finally, of course, we do depend upon, not finally, but in addition, we also depend upon donations from our community. And the idea behind this really is we want to always continue to offer these online meetings and the groups and expand the groups. And we don't want to charge for the groups or the Zoom meetings. And so we do depend on donations. And we know that there are women out there who simply don't have any money to donate. And that's okay. You know, they still come and they get to contribute just by being a member of our community, by being on a Zoom gathering and listening. So it's up to those of us who do have some resources, I think, in a sense, right, to kind of supplement and to make sure that we can continue to keep these things going. So we're launching our founding investor campaign in celebration of this 1-year anniversary. And so we're asking anybody who hasn't already donated to the cause, if they can, you know, cough something up, if they can contribute something, that would be great. I've seen an increasing number of women, and just in the last week, since we've started talking about this, go on and sign up to do a monthly donation. Like a recurring monthly donation of $5 a month is $60 a year. It may not sound much to you, but to a nonprofit organization like ours, it's a lot. Just think about it. You know, we have 7,000 people in that group. If everybody donated $5 a month, I can't do math, but I think that's a lot of money. So more about that, and everybody is invited to, once they become a founding member, if you've donated, then you are a founding investor. And so you can, if you go to my Facebook page, you can grab this cool profile frame and share it with it. The other thing that this does, of course, is get the word out about our organization, which is also a contribution. Helping us spread the word is a contribution. So I want to ask, this is from Lisa, so that I have some kind of things that I was asked to do. But for those of you who are listening, if She Recovers programs, events, recovery touch points, and or the community as a whole have made a positive impact in your life, we're inviting you to create an impact statement so we may inspire and empower other women in or seeking recovery. Whether you include your full name or wish to remain anonymous, your words may be the reason another woman finds and joins our movement. So the link to submit a written or video impact statement is in the works right now, but if you would like to submit an impact statement, just say that you would like to do that in the Facebook comments, and Lisa can follow up with you from there. Or you can email admin, ADMIN, at sherecovers.org, and then you'll receive the submission form as soon as it goes live. I think that's coming up pretty soon, maybe even this week, maybe even today, I'm not sure. So there, yeah, and then just finally, I'll say that, Taryn, let's talk just a little bit about how we feel the next year is going to go. Like, what are we excited about? What are you excited about? I mean, I know you've got your own, you know, one of the things I'll say is that in the growth of this organization over 10 years, Taryn and I have always been like this and involved intimately in absolutely every single little detail of what's happening in She Recovers. And as a nonprofit, what we've been learning, and thanks so much to the gentle guidance of Susan Carter, our executive director, and others who have experience in the film, is that, you know, we can't be in the nitty-gritty of what's going on in She Recovers all the time. And also be a founder, right? So a founder and I'm the chair of the board and Taryn's the vice chair. And so we're learning how to be, I'm learning how to be a chair. I'm learning how to be a chairman of the board, chairwoman of the board, learning how to use my voice and my experience, my connections, my recovery capital to really be out there as an advocate to create and continue to create and maintain strong relationships with people who can help the organization as a whole. So I'm going to be, and I have been less involved in the meetings and in the group and those types of things. But so what I'm looking forward to is really kind of stepping back after 10 years, not going anywhere, but after 10 years to really step back and see the vision that Taryn and I had accidentally, the accidental vision, the accidental movement, to see it truly take off in the way it's intended to and needs to, which is, you know, underneath the wings of all these amazing women who are now in place as our very small team, like our small management team, and then all the people that will join that team as we develop the resources to bring them on, and our amazing volunteer network. A nonprofit organization is truly lifted up and implemented by volunteers. So I'm really excited to kind of watch what's going to happen and also learn how to just step back, work on my book, which now I'm working on 2 books quite actively. I started working on the meditation book and now I'm obsessed with it. the daily meditation book. So I have so many things that I want to do in my own life, and I'm excited about that. So, and Taryn, I know you're moving into some other areas of life that you've always been really interested in. So I know you're excited about that. But anyway, I'll let you talk for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I echo what you're excited about as well. I know that when we made the pivot to being like a nonprofit, mom and I, we don't have nonprofit experience, and that's okay. So for
Well,
us,
we did kind of do, because
kind of do. Well, we were a
not
non
intentionally. We never really made a profit, but it was not intentionally a nonprofit.
yeah, we were a business that was a nonprofit. We joked that we were a negative profit business for almost 10 years, but we were mission focused, and that's all that we cared about. So we delivered there. But we have Susan, and we have Carrie, and we have Melinda, and those are three women who I hope that all of you get to meet in person one day. They have incredibly rich experience in the nonprofit world. So mom and I have realized, like, okay, like we're just gonna step back. We're gonna let the pros do what they're good at, and we get to kind of be here and just do the fun stuff, like show up and talk to all of you in this way. And I'm really excited to get back at retreats whenever that happens. I cannot wait for our events and workshops and retreats, and to get to be with everybody in real life. I'm so excited this year to watch our trauma-informed yoga teachers start to, they've already started teaching the online classes, and I can't wait to see, as they already are, they're already starting to offer their services in treatment centers in their area, and that's just so meaningful to me. And yeah, I can't wait for mom to finish her book. That's been a long time coming. But for me, I'm just excited to see. I know, I just have full faith and confidence that this organization, the nonprofit, is going to grow, and that we're going to be able to help as many women as possible, and that we're going to be able to provide the support that's needed for all of those subgroups that you saw the list of, that are not all of them. I'm excited for the regions, because this is something we've been trying to figure out for, I don't even know how long, to tell you how long we've been trying to figure out how to have She Recovers in communities. So, it's stuff that we've been talking about forever, but we didn't have the capacity, we didn't have the spoons, we didn't have the team to be able to implement, and now it's happening. So it's really exciting. And on a personal note, I'm just excited to just be on Salt Spring and with my puppies and my dude. And I'm just really deepening into herbalism and aromatherapy, and studying, getting really deep into my mother's line of ancestry, and diving deep into Celtic studies. And I just love nerding out on that. So I'm just excited about everything.
Yeah, I have to say, the events are one thing that I am very excited about, but more than that, I'm really just excited about the like the in-person things that are going on. And so even throughout the pandemic, and recently now that things are loosening up a little bit and people are becoming vaccinated, we continuously see women share a little picture like, oh, here's yesterday, 3 people who met online or at a retreat or at a conference are getting back together in person and going on a hike. And I think, our tagline right now is, you don't have to recover alone. And that's so important to us, right? I think that what I'm really excited about is the in-person. Once we've kind of got the regions, the pilots region set up, we're going to see like what's possible. What do people want to do? Right now, we support people getting together, and doing so in a way that's responsible given the public health pandemic. But also, are we going to go back to sharing circles, which we had 40 sharing circles led once a month by She Recovers coaches across the world. Many of those coaches have continued to hold virtual sharing circles in their communities. And, will that continue? I know we're going to have a Zoom meeting for each region. And the reason we want to do that is to be more inclusive. So for instance, in British Columbia, although we have a sharing circle group in Victoria, another one in Nanaimo, and one in Vancouver, there are women all over British Columbia who don't live in either of those 3 cities. So if we have a British Columbia region, somebody in the middle of northern British Columbia can join in on a BC regional Zoom call and still get connected the same way that they can do it. You can live anywhere and still belong to a geographical entity within our foundation. And then the idea is, as we grow from there, we will move into this sense where Victoria will become a chapter, Vancouver will become a chapter. So we will have bigger city kind of organized entities. But by then, other people in the surrounding those cities elsewhere in the region will have made the connections where they'll be comfortable. If there's a yoga workshop going on in Vancouver, they'll drive the 3 hours from Kelowna to come to it, that type of thing. So we've just seen the power of this online thing. And so we're going to kind of build out the regions from there. What I've really witnessed that is most remarkable to me is how convenient our meetings have been. You know, what I love about meetings is we have moms who are like, they've got their kids on their knee while they're sharing. They've got or listening. You know, they're maybe folding laundry. They're in their space. They don't have to get up, get dressed, get in a car, drive somewhere to a meeting, although I'm sure some of them are desperate to do that and will do that when it's safe to do so again. So I've really just been amazed at how convenient and easy everybody's talking about this is. And it really is, right? I show up, well, today I had a shower, but I mean, I show up in all sorts of different ways at our meetings. And I just roll out of bed early morning for the healthcare meeting. A couple of other things that I've noticed is just how quickly women really do connect with one another in our community. So on our Zoom calls, I would say the majority of women attending our Zoom calls, although we have many who have been with us for years, the majority are new to us, and they've either met us a year ago when we started or in recent months or even recent weeks. And it just astonishes me how quickly they connect to the women in that space. They start feeling a part of. You can see that they're having conversations with women about meeting up in the future. I mean, I just really do think that it's a place where we all come, and because we're all in recovery from different things, we connect on such a deep level. It's not just about the wine or the marijuana or the relationship that, you know, the unhealthy relationships or the codependency. I mean, those things are there, but we really do, through the guidance of our coaches who bring such incredible topics to every gathering, we kind of cut through all the things that might separate us from one another and get to what really is true for each of us. And it just creates this sense of intimacy and growth. And it's pretty remarkable. The other thing, I'm just trying to think of the things that I want to share that have really blown us away this last year. And that is just how willing our volunteers are to spend time at this. I mean, our coaches repeated, like some coaches have done this once a week since the beginning, and others, you know, are lined up to do it. We don't have enough meetings right now for all of our coaches to participate as often as they'd like to. And again, we kind of need this bigger infrastructure to develop all these additional meetings. We'd love to have West Coast meetings, because right now our meetings are at 5 p.m. Pacific, which isn't very convenient for some people who are just getting home from work, who have kids, etc. But again, we really need the funding to increase the infrastructure in order to expand our offerings. But I love that we're able to, you know, tap into this resource, our coaches who are so generous with their time, and our co-hosts, the same with the guardians. Like our Facebook and Mins, if those of you who are on our Facebook, sometimes some weekends, like there's a lot of things kind of blow up a little bit sideways in that Facebook group. If you had any idea the hours that our admins are spending behind the scenes, attending to the space, you know, attending to if somebody's upset, if somebody's in crisis. And just a reminder, Facebook groups are not the place to be in crisis. We're not, we can point you in the direction of higher support. But I'm just so grateful. None of this would have been possible at all without all of these amazing women stepping up to do this. And they do it because it matters to them, because they're in recovery and they understand the power of connection and support. So again, you know, thank you to everybody.
Yeah, and something I want to add to that I think we've all been really blown away by as well this past year is how deep the connections are, even though they're online. And we've always known that because we've kind of been doing online things for a while. But what made it really, really special and really, really obvious was this past year, we lost a member of our group. Beautiful, beautiful Car. And what was so profound about that experience was we met Car, you know, they had started attending our gatherings at the very beginning and was such a shining light and such a special member and a volunteer as well. And they passed away in a car accident. And the profound thing was that none of us had met car in person, yet the impact felt, it was just as strong and just as powerful and just as deep as if we had met in person and known them our entire life. So that was a really big moment for me and for our community, and that realization of how deep these relationships are online.
Thanks, Taryn. That's actually a great reminder, and again, just in terms of us being really responsive to the needs of the community, and in particular, the women in our community being responsive to the needs of our community. One of our amazing coaches, Lori Winfeld, I can't remember exactly when it happened, but in November, just before the election, Lori said, I think it might be a difficult evening for women in our community. And what can we do to support them? It was going to be, it could have, in any event, we decided that we would hold an extended gathering the evening of the election. And Lori kind of, in that way, she kind of launched the She Recovers After Dark idea. So she actually held space for a total of 4 hours that night. And it was really well received. People, were just needing the support. And, we don't talk about politics in our groups. We can talk about feelings. And so feelings and our recovery, but it was just really helpful. So we ended up doing that again through the holidays. So we did it over Thanksgiving in the US Thanksgiving. We did it through Christmas and New Year's holiday. And we did it when Carr passed away. We did, and then we also did it on Inauguration Day. I think, or else January 6th. I don't remember now when we did it. And we're doing it this Wednesday. So this Wednesday night, our gathering it'll be Taryn and I, and it'll be Peyton, the three of us, and we'll be hosting. And we won't be doing all the talking like we are this morning. It'll really be, just sharing as a community. So whether you're new to She Recovers or not, come along and hear what this year has been like for some of the women in our community. If you've been here one day by then, you can share what it's like for you. I mean, anybody can share. And of course, you don't have to share about the topic, which we'll be celebrating She Recovers together, but you can talk about anything that's on your heart. So we're really looking forward to that. What else are we doing? So that's an extended anniversary gathering that starts at 5 p.m. Pacific, goes to 8 p.m. Pacific. Throughout the month, we're going to be doing some behind the scenes video diary logs on Instagram. Somebody needs to tell me how to do that. I don't know how to do that. March 31st at noon with Dawn and Taryn. Okay, this is a good reminder for us, Taryn. We'll be doing a panel discussion where we'll be interviewing 4 people from our community. So that will be fun. And then on April 9th, so here's the thing. The celebration is not, this anniversary celebration is a long one because it starts now, but March 17th is the 1 year of our Zoom gathering started. April 6th is the day that we got our IRS letter saying that we are a 501c3 nonprofit public charity. So we're going to be celebrating from now till April 8th. We've got a couple of extra days hanging over the actual anniversary of getting our 501c3. And so on April 9th, okay, I guess it goes to April 9th. I said the 8th. We're going to do a Fireside Friday finale party with Susan. I don't know exactly what all is going to be going on there, but Susan Carter, executive director. We've had fireside chats with Susan before. She's wonderful. This is on a Friday, and that's going to be followed by She Recovers Dance. So that's going to be the end of the big celebration. But it's like, those of you who celebrate your birthday forever, this is kind of like that. We're going to celebrate our anniversary for almost a month. Are there any questions? Would love some questions.
I saw a question from Sarah. Do you think in the next 2 to 3 years there will be another LA conference? I know it's a specific question, but as a student, I can't afford to do some of the bigger retreats, even though I would love to.
That's a great question, Sarah. I think that the answer is probably no. We wouldn't go back to LA because we've done it in LA. So we did our first conference in New York and then LA and now Miami. So we'll be moving around. What I would say is that there are going to be other opportunities in California. We're looking at a retreat venue in California where we hope to launch several retreats in 2022. So we recognize that it's difficult to be able to pay for both, like a registration fee for a retreat or a conference and then travel costs associated with it. So the exciting thing, I think, is that although right now we're like a national or an international conference, what we envision too going forward is that we'll start holding regional conferences in the years to come, so that everything will be kind of closer to where you are. We want to bring in real life recovery to where you are, because we do want to keep things and make things more accessible for everybody. So there will be regional retreats, there'll be regional conferences, and probably first off, in the next year into 2022, there will be regional workshops. So again, if you're in San Diego, for instance, you might have to go up to LA, or if you're in LA, you might have to go to Palm Springs or whatever. Like, you might have to travel a little bit, but we'll just certainly make it a lot easier for people to connect under the She Recovers banner with like-hearted and like-minded women in your region. So we're looking forward to that.
Great. We have a comment from Facebook. Still sober over 400 days and healing complex trauma and disordered eating. All the things. So grateful for you all. Amazing. Congratulations.
Oh,
That's
wow,
huge.
that's so fabulous. Thank you.
And then
come to Atlanta. We've been to Atlanta. We did a workshop series called the Sacred Pause Tour. And that's when we went to Atlanta, right?
Yep.
And then that was in 2017, 2018. And then in 2019, we did six stops. We went to Chicago and San Diego and New York City, Nashville, Seattle, and I can never remember the sixth one. I forget a different sixth one every time. What was it?
Did you say Toronto?
Toronto, that's what it was. There you go. Canadian. So there you go.
When will registration for Miami open?
Peyton, we'd have to ask Peyton. We're working so because as a new foundation, we've kind of had to move over to some new platforms and new software and technology and event platforms. So I would say by May. And of course, Miami is 2/3 sold out or more, right? It might be 3/4 sold out, because we were sold out and then everybody who was coming just is holding on to come. So when we do launch, there'll be limited registration. What I think is happening on our website this week, maybe even today or tomorrow, I'm just thinking what Kim all has to do, our amazing designer, Kim, is you'll be able to go to the She Recovers in Miami page. And if you want to be the first to know, like, we'll have a waiting list of people who want to register. So if you put your name on there, that's probably the best bit, because we'll go to that list of people who are interested before we launch publicly. And we do anticipate that She Recovers in Miami is going to sell out immediately. So that would be a good idea.
Rebecca, 5 to 10 years from now, what does She Recovers look like? What do you both wish, hope, and visualize?
Let's end on that one, but let's go back to a couple of other things that have popped up, Taryn. Yep. So somebody's saying from Atlanta, the Atlanta page isn't particularly active. Yeah, and again, that's kind of because as an organization, we've said to coaches in the different places where there were sharing circles to kind of deactivate things that were going on because of the pandemic. So you can watch and see. I understand. I think that there's either a walk or something coming up in Atlanta I just saw it the other day. So there is something coming up April. And if you would like to let Allison, who's been organizing those walks, let her know that you're willing to support it as well. As I said, we're going to start off with our 5 chapters, and by the time we get to your region this summer, we'll have kind of more guidelines on how we would like things to roll out. But definitely, we think that women who are in areas now where there are other women and She Recovers, we invite and encourage you to just say, hey, does somebody want to go for coffee? Does somebody want to go for a walk? Informal meetups. Totally. I think that those would be marvelous. And you don't have to wait for something formal to be organized in your communities if you know other women. We also have, if you're in our Facebook group, in the announcements, if you go to announcements, there's this place where you can go in and fill out a form and say where you live. And then you can click on another thing that will give you the spreadsheet of where everybody lives, and you can sort it to see who lives in your city or state. So again, as we roll out these regions, we really do think that you're going to have an opportunity more women will know about our region. They'll know about Atlanta and what region that's in, and women from all over that place. We'll start kind of connecting geographically as we start meeting out in person more.
Great. So some Facebook comments. Lita became a founding investor during this Mental Health Monday session. Thank you so much. That means so much.
Wonderful.
Someone else said, Carr exemplified that we are all truly seen and heard and take space in all of our hearts. We all matter here.
We love her.
Definitely.
Waiting list for retreats in 2022. You know, that's the other thing. I think there is a waiting list of well over 100 people on our retreat list. But I think we're, you know, with 2022, we're hoping to clear that. And so right now, let me talk to Peyton about whether or not we want to ask people to sign up for a wait list for this different retreats. In the meantime, if you go to the retreat pages to look at what retreats are there, you will see an email address for Peyton, and you can email her and ask to be put on a wait list. There we go, Gina. Yeah. But do watch, like we will be announcing 2022 retreats.
The Zoom gatherings have been a guaranteed, consistent place and space that I can rely on and where I can practice and grow in my recovery. Having a platform via Zoom has ensured I can attend no matter what. Seeing familiar faces of other women who show up frequently has provided a social environment that promotes connection. These gatherings have been critical to my recovery over the past 5 months. Awesome.
That's exactly what I was trying to say, only I couldn't speak from, you know, other people's experience, so I couldn't do it as eloquently as that person just did. But I can say one of the testaments, I think, to the strength of our community is the number of recovery celebrations that we're experiencing right now. You know, I mean, there are women who got sober, left an unhealthy relationship, left an unhealthy job, you know, have been recovering from codependent relationships, workaholism, and they're celebrating like a year of recovery right now throughout a pandemic. I mean, I just think it's remarkable and a true testament to the women in our community who do show up each and every day to support one another. So, Taryn, what do you think? What do you want to talk? What do you see happening in 5 to 10 years? This is exciting for me, but go ahead first.
I see She Recovers globally, all over the world. I feel like She Recovers is going to be a household name in the recovery world, where women know that no matter where they are in the world, they have this support available to them, whether they're wanting to hop on an online gathering or whether they're in a city and they want to connect in real life. I see the supports being there. And I see us also really providing support for just such a diverse group of women as well. And I also see us also, because what's so important to us, as we've said so many times, is accessibility. So I also see us being able to make sure that the things that we're providing are free or low cost. Also having the ability to raise some funds for scholarships for, you know, Sarah had said she's a student, she can't afford a retreat. So in 5, 10, 15 years, I really see us having this engine working where it's just really supportive and really accessible.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I think ditto on all of that. I think the other things that I would add is just I would hope that women, no matter where they live, have an opportunity to connect with other women who are in or seeking recovery, you know, and being supported to find and follow individualized pathways and patchworks of recovery, regardless of where they live. So obviously, if they're somewhere quite remote or isolated, they'll have that opportunity online. But also increasingly really want women to be able to connect in person with other women in their surrounding areas. I think I want women to be able to hop on our on our website and go at any time of the day, go, I need a meeting. Oh, look, there's one here. And it might be on codependency, and it might be on aging, and it might be on being a young woman in recovery, you know, all of those things. So I really do see that kind of as our platform moving forward. I also really see us as increasingly becoming the trusted resource, women in recovery, for where they go. You know, we've always been really proud that we don't say like, this is the program, come on in here and, you know, do this, and you'll be okay. We come in and say, come in and just open up your ears and your heart to all the different ways that women are recovering, and then start creating your own patchwork of what you need. But I think that we're a good landing place for that exploration. I think that, you know, we're working towards one of the things that happens every single day is we get 3, 5, 7 women a day saying they need treatment or they need detox, or somebody in their family does. Where do they go? And we've gotten to that place where the demand for that information is forcing us to actually go out and figure out, okay, who are the trusted resources, trusted treatment resources, where we can say, you know, we know these people have national certifications, and we know that they are trauma informed, and we know that they're anti-racist, and we know all these things. And we can start compiling and developing a list of trusted resources, kind of put the She Recovers Foundation stamp of approval on things. We know this from our work in the field, from our relationships over this past 10 years. We know who the leaders are in the treatment industry. We really need to be able to be a place where families know to go if they're looking for treatment for women and others in their families. So I see that as happening over the next few years. And also, the big dream for me is our She Recovers retreat centers all across the world, so that right now we're dependent on being able to rent other venues and find caterers and chefs and all those types of things. I think within the next 5 years, I would like our own retreat center somewhere, probably in the United States, that is big and bold and beautiful. And, we have funding where women can come and spend time self-directed retreats, punctuated by week-long retreats or weekend retreats that are facilitated by our coaches and our yoga teachers. We'll have lots of volunteers involved in that. And I just think that I would love for us to have that one place. So I know what I know about nonprofits now is that that's called a capital. We'll need a capital campaign for that in order to earn the capital to build that property or to buy that property. So one of these days you'll be hearing about that campaign, where we're saying, hey, we want you to donate, and we want you to donate specifically to this capital campaign so that we can purchase this treatment center. In the meantime, if any of you have a 15 to 20 room house, 10 to 15 bathrooms, lots of room for yurts, maybe a yoga pavilion that you're not using, let us know. We can take that off your hands. So yes, and that's just part of the vision, right? I mean, the vision includes Taryn and I being able to go and speak about the foundation and, really find the champions that we need that are really high profile celebrities and other change makers. Oprah is part of the vision. Oprah's always been part of the vision. Sylvia, our dear friend here in Victoria, reminds us every week, Oprah's part of the vision. And we do all this not because we're looking for, I'm not interested in being famous. Taryn's not interested in being famous, but we really are interested in ensuring that there are other women who, like me, when I was 27 years old, I needed to find recovery and I found it. And I had a place where I could recover so that my daughters could grow up and turn into somebody with an addiction too, I guess. I mean, so, and then when Taryn had a way to recover. And that our ways wasn't She Recovers, but I think, my 12-step recovery pathway, her more holistic yoga recovery. Now we're at a place where we believe that our foundation, our platform, the women in our community, all of you are the examples of how we can and do recover. And so we just want our foundation to be that place where anybody can come, regardless of what they're recovering from, and figuring out a way where they can do it too. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being here this Monday morning. It's been a lot about the foundation, but I truly believe that the foundation deserves the attention that we've given it this morning, because everything that we've described has been so much about this past year's energy that so many new people in our recovery community have brought to it. And if we look back at this year and see what's been accomplished with no money, and we're just at that place where we're tapped out. Like we can't we can't do anything more until we have kind of the infrastructure that we need in order to grow. And we could just keep doing what we're doing now and inch along a little bit, but even that would be difficult. We really do need we need to expand and grow. We need to meet people where they're at, what they're recovering from, and provide more resources. So thank you all. And again, any contribution that you make as a volunteer, as showing up everything is deeply, deeply appreciated by us. And we just really look forward to continuing to grow and develop this thing called She Recovers. So Taryn, I look forward to seeing you.
Yes, me too.
I'm sneaking over to Salt Spring Island next Wednesday. Just don't tell Dr. Bonnie. But you can only go so long before seeing your kid.
Have changed here.
Yeah. We're allowed to meet outdoors in groups of 10 in British Columbia now. So we're going to do that. Okay, again, love your impact. We'd love to hear from you if you have impact statements, And, you know, my impact statement is just, you've all impacted me so deeply for the last 10 years, but this last year in particular. And so thank you to our team. And thanks to everybody for your excitement. Someone's sharing she's excited for the future. We're going to do this together, right? We're stronger together. It's going to take all of us. Everybody has a part to play in this. As Susan Carter said not too long ago, you know, this is our movement and this is our time. And I think it's the energy that you all bring to this project that makes it worthwhile for me. So.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy your Monday, and hopefully you will join us on Wednesday for our extended gathering starting at 5 p.m. PST. Peyton's going to kick us off, and then I'm going to jump in and host at 6 p.m. PST, and then Mama Dawn's going to hop on at 7 o'clock PST. So it's going to be an extended gathering and to celebrate our 1-year Zoom anniversary.
Yeah, only that this time you guys are all going to do the talking.
Yeah, we're not going to talk. We're going to talk. We want to
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.